Hello, this is Anthony Manning, and welcome to My Journey to Kent. My traveller this time is Tinu Okotore from Canada, who tells us about her interest in critical law studies and the importance of joining societies to get the most out of student experience. Hi Tinu, thanks for joining us today and for taking us on your journey to Kent. I wanted to start by asking you to tell us a little bit about where you call home.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to answer these questions. Where do I consider home? I consider the city of Mississauga, Ontario, home. I know most people don't really know where Mississauga is. They just know Toronto in Canada, Ontario, but Mississauga is a city that's quite large as well. I live about 15 minutes from Toronto, so I'm very close by. I love Mississauga. I was born there as well, so I've actually lived in the same house my entire life. So I'm a true person from, as we call it, Saga. Um, I love Mississauga. Where I live personally is near Lake Ontario. So I just love it because I can walk easily to the lake. I have a view. There's lots of animals, ducks. There's always squirrels and deer and everything in the neighborhood. It's a very beautiful view. It's not a small city, but Mississauga is very big, but the area I live is towards the lake, and that's kind of a more condensed area. Lots of trees, lots of nature. And because I love nature, it's just always been something. I go biking all the time there. Yeah.
And so before you came to the University of Kent, did you have a clear view on what Canterbury would be like?
Not really, actually. I wasn't quite sure. So I had the opportunity to come to Canterbury in the March before, so in the spring before I started school in the fall, and I was able to come and get a tour of the campus, and I saw Canterbury. I was expecting Canterbury to be a bit more of like a large city. I wasn't really sure what I was expecting, but it's a really beautiful city. I actually really love the way it looks and the aesthetics. And
so tell us a bit more now about what you're studying at the University of Kent and what has inspired you to study that subject.
Okay, so I'm studying law. I'm straight law LLB. What inspired me to study the subject was, first of all, my passion and desire to help people in human rights issues. I took global issues actually as a course in geography and history, and because law kind of incorporates all those different subjects into one, and it's very broad but yet very specialized, I was like, this would be a great degree to study for my first degree, and I really enjoyed it, and I like the way that Kent taught it because Kent had a critical law school. So yeah.
So what inspired you about the critical law school dimension?
I think it was the way that they look at things from more of a critical aspect. I think we need more critical law schools in everywhere around the world. I think we need to look at things not just from such a textbook stand of view, but also question and kind of give more free thinkers. So that was one thing that really attracted me to it.
Brilliant. And how did you first find out about studying at the University of Kent?
Okay, so my cousin attended Kent previously and he loved it here. And then when I was still in the stage of applying to universities, I actually used a study abroad agency, and they had a list of unis, and I talked to the agent and she told me about Kent, and I was like, shit, it's a good school. I did my research online, and I just did a lot of research. I went on YouTube, read articles, blogs, etc. And then I was like, let me apply, and I got in, so I was happy.
So we've been talking about your studies today as if they were a journey. Can you tell us what 3 essential items you would pack in your bag? They can be practical things or metaphorically speaking.
I would definitely say adventure. Traveling and journeying to Kent, especially from a different country, was surely an adventure. So have your adventure boots on. So I would carry my adventure boots. I would definitely say positivity. Try to stay positive. Sometimes, things may not go exactly as planned on this journey to school, or application process or anything, but just try to stay positive as much as possible. And that way you'll get the most out of your stay. And I also would say to pack an umbrella because it rains a lot in the UK, and I bought 2 umbrellas since I've got here, and I was like, wow.
And that's good advice for anybody, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, when you've been describing your journey towards your studies with us, you've made it sound very straightforward. Have you had any obstacles along the way?
Yes, I definitely had some obstacles. I'd rather say time management. University is really independent, and especially jumping from like the Canadian school system to the British school system was a huge step and a huge jump. So trying to understand like the grading, the way they grade things, the way things are marked, the English they use, all those little small things you don't really take into account before, but when you get into it, you're like, wow, this is a lot. So definitely time management and just keeping on track with yourself. And then obviously the pandemic kind of like made it 10 times harder than the average student. But it's been an interesting journey, and like I'm grateful for it. I think I've learned a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all acquired all sorts of different skills and
Yeah,
started to be able to do things in different ways that we would never have expected.
exactly.
So what would you say is the biggest life lesson that you've learnt along the way so far?
I think the biggest life lessons I've learned so far is to enjoy the process, like while it's going on now. I'm someone who likes to be often like on the go, very busy. What's next? What's next? And I find that I don't really get to enjoy what's happening in the present. I'm just constantly thinking about the future. So I definitely say that even for like me in high school, I wish maybe I'd kind of enjoyed it more then, and then just kind of enjoyed the presence of it, what I was learning, instead of thinking about university, university, university. So if you're a student coming to Kent, I'd definitely say try to enjoy what you're learning now. Don't stress yourself too much about the future holds, and just really understand what you're learning, those concepts.
Yeah, I think that living in the moment is something that we all need to focus on a bit more than we're
Yeah.
doing. So I wondered, could you give some advice to students who are following in your footsteps? What would that be?
Um, I would definitely say to study something that you have a passion for. Choose a subject that you know that you will be interested in, because there are going to be times where sometimes you don't necessarily want to do the work and you're like, this is not my favorite thing. But if it is at least you have like a general interest in it, I think it would definitely help you perform better. And to also stay optimistic and to understand that like what you study isn't exactly what you're limited to in the future. So don't box yourself. Join societies, join clubs, meet people, communicate, interact with people from all over the world. Kent has a really diverse range of students, so I've been able to meet people from all over the world. Countries I've never even heard of before. So definitely I would say like put yourself out there, don't be shy. And maybe in high school you shied away from those things. Do those things that you always wanted to try then, do them now, because you just, why not?
And have you been involved with societies at Kent?
Yes, I have. So last year, I actually was a part of the Gold program, who was overseen by you, and that was such a wonderful program. I had so much fun with it. I learned so much through it. And then I also was a part of the Environmental Sustainability Network. That was again excellent. And I'm also currently this year I'm the welfare officer for the Nigerian Society. So it's been really great, organizing events and talking about mental health with the students and other societies, like the law societies. Those are also really good to join.
Gosh, so you've been very involved. So how does being part of those societies add to your classroom experience?
They definitely add, because first I get to meet people in those societies. I mean, maybe in my course, I get to make more friends, and not necessarily only in my year, in the years above or below. It also adds to my experience because I get to also necessarily not just put all my energy into my work. Sometimes you need an escape. So those societies can kind of be that escape that you need.
Yeah, brilliant. And
Yeah.
so we've been talking about your journey through your education to this point.
Yeah.
What about your plans for the future after graduation? What's your next destination?
I definitely love traveling and moving all over the place, but I'm actually really enjoying England. Before, I was very set on just going back to Toronto, going back to Canada, but I think I'm looking into staying in England and be a bit longer after post-grad, either maybe to do a postgraduate degree or to go straight into working. I'm just trying to keep my options open, or possibly look into going to a whole different country like America, or like, who knows, somewhere else. So
Great. So all sorts of exciting options for you to think about.
yes, definitely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Tina, for taking us on your journey to Kent today. It's been great talking to you.
No problem. I had a great time speaking.
Thank you.